Hello, so here is part one of my digital portfolios. So the first one I'm going to be talking to you about is communication skills, listening, and entering the workplace. So the first one I want to talk to you about is I've separated my docs from one section of communication skills, listening, and entering the workplace, and the other one is resumes, interviews, and my career project. So first, let's get started with part one. So we're going to be talking about verbal and nonverbal communication. So verbal communication is communication created through language. Both our words and our verbal fillers. So how are we going to be professional when talking to another person? What kind of communication are we going to use? Like what kind of professional language we're going to use? And it's just basically the simple stuff like that is verbal communication. You just don't want to sound dumb and unprofessional, because that's not going to get you the job. And nonverbal is communication other than written or spoken language that creates meaning for someone. So that means is how do we approach ourselves as a person when no one else is around, or how are we going to present to the business or company that we want to work for. And so these are pretty good because it purposes express emotion, convey interpersonal attitudes, and presents one's personality. So it could be good or bad thing of how you present your nonverbal communication. The next one is listening. So hearing versus listening are two completely things, because hearing, you could hear something, but listening is listening to something that you are actually listening to, and you gather the correct information and just not give out the wrong information. So listening is pretty huge because some people can get confused of what they say or don't say. And so when you're going to talk to an employee about you making a sale, you want to have good listening skills, and you just want to give out the best information you can. Sorry about that. Interpersonal communication in the workplace and presidential excellence is pretty much similar, because those who talk about how you're going to present yourself in meetings, press conferences, and all that. And this just talks about how you are going to be in the workplace and how you want to handle yourself. Entering the workplace is huge because this just shows that this talks about how you want to enter the workplace and what you really want to get out of the workplace, if that makes sense. So examples of diversity in the workplace are such as gender, ethnicity, race, language differences, religion, and people with disabilities. So how are you going to handle those things in the workplace? Because you may encounter someone with those types of things. And diversity conversations is the people who are interviewed.